Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We do have the daily expected moves for the SPY, the SPX, and the QQQs down there in the bottom right corner. We have those for you, and I want you to look at the SPX targeting 6,000. That will be a big deal, and we see that upside, upside, upside is still the direction for now. We have not seen anything really break down, and we are looking at something interesting here. And one thing that we were really talking about on Patreon over the last couple of days and this morning with a little update was just, you know, watch for this market because, and I actually said something, maybe the better thing to do would be read what I actually wrote down. I can actually read what I wrote down for you guys. One of the things was, looking at things like this, guys. You don't want to be this guy. I apologize for the language and things like that. You don't want to be this guy, right? Who's just begging and begging and begging for some kind of crash, some kind of crash, some kind of crash. It is very unlikely that we do see a crash in this type of look. If we do, we have to break serious levels way down lower. You could pull back really, really deep here, all the way down to you could go down to anywhere above like 540 is pretty bullish to me. Anything above 540 is pretty bullish to me. So you don't want to be that guy. That's first. We were saying this is why you have to be careful shorting in this environment. It can work, but you have to be extremely tactical with the timing and do not expect a crash. Even if we go down like 8%, it would still be bullish. That's how good this move overall is. And if you're taking those plays with this type of look here, then you're kind of acting like I was on Monday and saying, okay, big downward move. I sell that bad boy in case this just snaps back. And look at that, it snaps back. So that was something that I decided, and that's called like premium grabbing. All I'm doing is saying, okay, we're going to over adjust here and we're going to do this, or people are going to like really start to hedge. And so the premium is going to go up and I can make money on that. And that's all that play was. This downside did not get me past or to target in any way. It just increased the premium, which is fantastic. But notice it's quick, it's tactical, it's good. This move is so good that it's going to be hard to see exactly when it's going to stop. Now, we have some information down here with our monthly expected move. So if we keep going in the upward direction, right, and we end up testing something like that 598.60, that would most likely be a 1-2 push. And I think that this would be the time where we actually see something bad going into expiration. So I am slightly still bullish according to the price action as of right now. According to the price action from the futures that we do notice here, what do you have? Very, very cool behavior here from the futures, okay? We're going to break this down at the beginning of this video. So if you see here, what do we do? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so we set up the level that we need to get past. You see this level of the high at 59.56.7, and we see over here 59.52.7, right? 59.52.7. Oh, wait, that's a low. 59.57, okay? So we have 59.56.7, and we have a higher point here. My apologies. We actually did take out that high, which means what? If we're going to pull back, we want to look where the buyers stepped in down in here, right? And if you really equate this to like some sort of zone, we see, if I could actually draw this up correctly, right, before I get into chat, and good morning, guys. I'll say good morning to you in a second. We can see that where did that start to come in? That center point. And if you wanted to do a different style of price action, we haven't gone over this price action too much, but you can also draw these zones up at the initial time that the buyers really came in. Okay, this is very, very cool as well. You're going to get a little something here. We're not going to talk about it too much. We might put it in the course for that stuff, but what you do is you see the buyer stepped in with the bulk of this candle right here, and you look where the sellers tried to get you down to, and then you go boom like that, and oh, look at that, you tap into the zone. So some people do it that way. That's more of a day trader style. I like blocks and things like that more, but this is very, very, very nice. So you dip down into where those buyers are. Okay, awesome. So this means that most likely people are trying to catch that and see that reaction to go make a new high here. So this at this point is still bullish. If you start to wipe out these levels, well, you can see how we would head lower over time. All right, so just wanted to point that out. That means as of right now, even with this move down, we are still in a bullish stance on those shorter time frames, and I wanted to point that out to you. I think we are potentially setting the trap fully today if we see another upside move here. Just wanted to point that out for you. I think you could see something like this, we doodle around for a little bit, then you see some upside. And honestly, from that point, maybe a little FOMO extension, and then we're done. All right, maybe that's able to get us to 598.60. That is your daily expected move upside for the SPY. 591.10 to the downside for the SPY. We have these monthly moves. We're seeing how the 2 hour is just getting cooked and cooked and cooked. This thing will need to pull back. It can explode. So that's why while we're trying to find that top, we're not saying, oh, this is a great time to massively short. It might be a good time to try to do that with a small position, like a hedge-like position. And then once you actually see the formation of breakdown, or better yet, this formation of breakdown, this would be the time to actually take a play, correct? So we have to be patient for it. This market's continuing to be irrational longer than the short people can remain solvent. Hopefully you were able to just understand that and say, okay, I'm going to make money on the upside. Now, this morning I did want to talk about TLT because we were talking about how that thing was going to turn around. And look at that thing selling off right now. This means we don't necessarily want to mix up with this at the moment. If you go look at the 10-year yield, I'll show you why. I'll show you why. The 10-year yield is starting to ramp on this 2-hour. And what do you see from the 10-year yield? A low, a higher low, a high before it, and a higher high right now. So even though this was corrective, you went and beat that high. So be looking for a 1, 2, 3 here. And I think up here is the better time for TLT to turn around. So we had a little option trade there. It might be a little less valuable this morning. And then what we notice is TLT could do something very, very nice to us down here and go retest those lows, maybe even make a lower point, set up something here so that we can cross through it and know, okay, now we're looking for the potential retest to actually go higher. And then this would be the time where I would say, oh, maybe this thing is going to turn around on the daily and it's time to invest. Okay, so hopefully this was a decent trade for you for the time being. And it saw a great move to the upside. And that move to the upside was overall can be bigger if we're able to hold up better. But as of right now, with the trend look from the 10-year yield, you don't necessarily want to be on the wrong end of this, as it's going to take you above this high, or at least has potential to do so with some kind of push like this. And then we'll see if that thing's able to fall. So just be paying attention for that. If it wipes out divergence, that's why you don't really want to be holding on to things at this moment. You want to see that thing roll back down, make a lower high, or curl up and set that trap and then break that so you know, hey, this is going into a downtrend. I wanted to go over that with the yields for the time being if you were looking still at TLT. I'm trying to think if there's something else with this that I wanted. Oh, yeah, it was the pop-up. So the reason you don't necessarily want to like hold on to this and hold on to this and hold on to this, the sellers showed up, okay? The sellers showed up, right, in this type of area, or I guess buyers for TLT. So really, if you're looking at TLT, you'd be paying attention to that last bar right here, the first bar of the day yesterday. But you don't want to play around with this because if this curls up and makes a new high, it doesn't, yields are different. They don't have to just do this and stay with trend. They can get some sort of news that just blows it past that. You wipe out all of these divergences over here. So you don't want to be caught up in any of that. The risk of upside for the 10-year yield means the risk of downside for TLT. So you'd rather just say, okay, I'll make my like 20% this morning, then I'll get out. Then I'll get back in. If it shows up over here, then I'm hoping it breaks that and then curls up to reject, and I can hold on to that a little bit longer until we reach rates at like 4.26. So just wanted to point that out this morning because I know a bunch of people were paying attention to TLT. This means TLT most likely will go retest those lows, okay? So if your play is not comfortable with that and you need to manage the trade at some point, just be paying attention. Volatility. Let's go over volatility for a moment here and what I think is going on with volatility. I think volatility is going to go test my 1683. I think that volatility is going to show you that pathway higher, fake you out by possibly even going lower. If it holds up better, it holds up better. That's great, but we have a gap down here. So I think we could shoot down today for a little bit and then see this, really hold those divergence points to now take out this, go to the upside and start to fool around with this gap at the least for the time being. Okay, if you really look at the daily chart here, it's just asking for a curl up. But let's talk about the positioning of the MACD. Even if you see some kind of 8% pullback over the next week or two, and you see that sky high up to here and come and like fill this gap or something like that, which I think that's a gap, right? Yeah, fill that gap. And we have another one up there. We'll see if it can withstand this. We'll see if it's an overreaction. But the positioning of the MACD is telling you to prepare for a lower high. Okay, a lower high. This means that the pullback is very likely to be sooner rather than later. And when I say that, people always want to short, but we talked about that at the beginning of this live stream. We've talked about it for weeks now. If you're going to short, you want to be tactical. This is not the environment to short yet. if you're understanding that this thing needs to pull back and you want a 2-month out position or a month out position, I totally understand that. But make sure that if that plan starts, if this is dragging on for longer than your trade can handle, look for that dip to potentially reposition on the next push to the upside, okay? Because I do believe for today, we could see that continued upside, see that little edge on it, and then hit something like 598.60, which, crazy enough, that would get the SPX to 6,000. The daily expected move for the SPY today is pretty much 6,000. Okay, 6,000 for SPX. And if that's the goal, is to get to 6,000 and then show something bad, just know a break of 6,000 in the SPX is extremely bullish. And even if you see a pullback, that might just be something that they tell you is really bad, but it's for CTAs and other big players to be able to get in at lower levels. Nothing about this market is bearish right now. If you look at the daily chart, let's go through where we could actually go through some bearishness, right? Well, on the weekly chart, that would mean we have to lose the zone of resistance that we broke through to get here, correct? We'd have to lose all of this. So you potentially can come all the way down to like 533.50 and still be able to build back up to the upside. It would be a riskier look, but that's the truth of it, right? So unless we're doing that, it still can remain bullish. And I know that's crazy to say, but that is the truth. And you are more likely to hold up in what zone? This one right here. You are more likely to hold up in this block right here, and this would be fantastic, right? Something like 560, something down here like 547, 550 would be fantastic. And you notice your MACD is where? Positive territory, starting to be overbought. That can continue right now. So we're just saying, if the market, though, if you wanted to be patient and you see it do this and then it curls down, and then we get into the end of the week and we keep going, and you see something like this, and then we get a 2-hour divergence or something like that in this area, and it curls back up, this would say you are most likely going to try to go to all-time highs, and you could see an explosive move and hit a monthly expected move to the upside in June. And we will utilize those. We will put those out here on YouTube for free, and we will get you guys all of those monthly moves and second standard deviations for all the stocks we cover, and the SPY and the Qs and the SPX. All of those things. We will give this line update again. So if we're going, by the way, if we're just going to see this thing blow off and try to test all-time highs all of a sudden, right? If 6,000 triggers a bunch of buys and we just end up going up, hey, what can we pay attention to? 630.04, right? I don't think that's what's going to happen here. Personally, I think we're going to use that as bait and use expiration as a reason to tumble a little bit here, but I'm open to really anything bullish in this market right now. It has been very, very resilient. All right, guys, I'm going to tap into the chat for a moment here. Let's go see what's going on. Let me pull my other charts over, get set up for the day. Looks good. Wow, 630. That's the truth of it. That would be your 95%. That would be your 95%. That would be crazy. I'm not leaning towards that, but technically, where the daily expected move is for the SPY today is 6,000 for the SPX. That means that if CTAs see a peak and the algos see a peak above 6,000, you can trigger like a lot of, I don't want to say complacency, I will say bullishness, even more bullishness than you've seen. And so you might get a sell-off that gives them deeper prices, but the truth is, with that sell-off, there's going to be buying from smart money all throughout that dip. They sure like to buy the top. That's not it. They don't care about tops necessarily. They care about good positions and when the market looks a little bit safer. And I think that shows it safer, and then they can accumulate the whole way during some kind of drop. JP Morgan can. JP Morgan and these stocks, they can go down extremely deep here, right? Look at the zone. This zone says that that is very possible. And actually, I need to clean that. Actually, you're probably looking in here first, but I'm going to take the wick there. You can go all the way down to here and still be bullish. I'm not saying JP Morgan has to or has a high probability to get down there. I'm saying it's one of the stocks that can do that, though. I think you're more likely to remain in a more bullish tilt here. I think you're more likely to see something like 240 for the time being. But just understand, if you don't get the signals, if you don't get the reversal and trend from price action in this area, you can end up at lower levels. And we'll just ask about JP Morgan once it's actually down to like 250 and stuff like that, and we can start to pay attention to it, and we'll put it in some videos, right? We'll talk about these things. We'll talk about more of the individual stocks in videos as we see them pulling back when the pullback actually happens. I'm really inclined to believe that this is soon, but it's hard for me to say as far as short, right? I'm overall just like, I can remain patient if we want to go to 603 and then start the pullback down to like 575, 585, and that's all you get. That's all you get, right? Take what the market gives you is kind of what it's saying. And if it gives you something like 550, 560, you're pretty excited about that. I sure hope they pump this Ponzi today so I can sell tomorrow. I mean, that's probably not the worst mentality to have there. Greetings from the Bahamas, Chris. That's what's up. Couldn't resist hanging. That's what's up, Chris. Are you trading at all from the Bahamas? Are you trading on your phone or something? Yeah, 220 is not off the table totally. It's more I think it was 226 for JP Morgan. I wanted to say 226 is really where I'd like to see it. Yeah, I think it's 226. Yeah, 224, 226, right in there. It can, but you first want to pay attention to here. Look at this support here. Look at this. Like, if you're looking at JP Morgan, you're looking at this and this, right? And you never beat that low, that wick low. So you literally could just come down into here, boom, boom, see a wick, and then start to take off. I think that would be very, very nice. That's if the market gives it to you. Do you know what else the market could do? Just this. Or JP Morgan. Do you know what else JP Morgan can do? It can look like it's going to be awful, and then just do this. Right? Because where's the 2-hour higher low? Where's the 2-hour higher low right now? It's here, right? So that means we have to see JP Morgan go like this, and then go up, retest, and then reject off of that just to head lower. So you have a lot of work to do here. So if at any time throughout this, you just see that, right? You see that happen, then it's very likely you're going to continue. That's how crazy this market is. So that means that from where price is at the close yesterday, you could come all the way down like almost 6%, 5.9%. And if you just curl up a 2-hour, you're going up. That's how crazy this move is. I'm leaning towards more of a little bit of time where that turns down for like 5 days or so, but I'm not going to take it off the table like, hey, we can just do crazy shit. For the time being, for the market, it looks like we can still look at those futures and understand, hey, okay, these are doing what on the 30-minute? Well, they're testing the lows. So how this thing actually rolls down a little bit deeper to go grab buyers, where would the market go grab buyers if you're looking at futures, by the way? They would grab them in here. Maybe even at these lows, right? Maybe at the lows. That would be interesting. But for now, you also want to pay attention to the strength of the buyers in here and just go, oh, okay, they could come in anywhere in here. And that'd be fantastic. So in here would still be bullish for the day. Which means the SPY could literally dip down anywhere in here and still be bullish. So if you get your daily expected move, that would be great. Daily expected move and you see like a little 5-minute high taken out, lower high taken out, that'd be great. Good Wi-Fi is certainly a trader's friend. Hey, that's kind of facts. Hey, Christina, welcome to the channel and thank you for being here today. Appreciate you joining us, all right? Apple is sort of holding. Yeah, these individual names, though, like look how bad Apple looks compared to the SPY right now. That means like the Apple actually did take out the levels you need to take out, right? We see the boom, we see this, we took that out. What are we doing? We're rolling it. So as of right now, Apple's kind of in a downtrend on the 30-minute. Is it really, really bad for the 2-hour? Well, the sad part for Apple is the only way you're bearish on the 2 hours when you take this out. So Apple, again, like JP Morgan, once again, it could see a 6.75% drop and still be bullish. That's how crazy this market is. You have to see this level broken, right? You got to see boom, 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 to go down lower. We'll see, right? It can happen, and you need to pay attention to it. Like, I get it. You know what else could happen? You could just figure your shit out anywhere in here, and you could just do this first, and then you go revisit those levels as well, because then you set up a new 2-hour higher low. You're able to go like this, and then you go like this. Bink, bink, bink. It'd be very interesting. All right, guys, I'm going to do the same thing as yesterday. Why don't you guys watch the open for a moment here, and I'm going to go take me a little pee, and then I'll be right back, all right? I already finished my coffee this morning. I was ready for today, man. I was ready. All right, be right back. And we're back. Yeah, puts are going to be very interesting. It's the you have like dynamic hedging, and then at the same time, the hedging can cause premiums to increase. So the cool short play here, if you get good at it, and I do this is something that I do a lot of the time, but it's very fun. The cool thing about the hedge size position here, the cool thing about the hedge size position here is that you're just premium grabbing. So you could wake up in the morning, it's double, even with like a 0.5% drop, it could just be worth double because some people are like just hedging with you at these levels at the end of the day. It's very, very cool. It's something that I like to do. Yeah, sort of holding is the best, right? What's your consensus on Nvidia? For Nvidia, this is my consensus on Nvidia. Nvidia's a psychopath right now. That's my consensus. Look at this. This is a psychopath right now. Oh, whoops. As far as how tight this thing has gotten, I've never seen Nvidia with this type of look. What I would overall say for Nvidia is you're in a risky spot, and I think you would rather see one more little FOMO moment and then you start to drop down. But it's not really about what I want, right? It's, are we taking out the critical levels? Are we taking out critical levels? And truth be told, if you really want to get like bearish on Nvidia, you have to lose what? Right? What do you really have to lose here? You have to lose like almost this entire chunk, right? And that's kind of sad, but that's the truth. You got to lose this, you got to roll it. You got to lose this, you got to roll it, then you got to lose this, and you got to roll it to go down to these lows. And you can see that pathway, right? As long as you're breaking the low, you always want to treat that like it's rejecting. And then if you're breaking through like to here, you want to treat that like it could reject again. And then you see if it holds up down at the bottom of that zone, right? There's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 push lower. It probably won't look like that, but you know, that's overall how price would like to behave. And once you see that change, right? So you come down, you know, maybe you see some kind of bounce in here, then you come down to this level, and then you see a rip that takes you through, and then it retests in, and then bam, there's the setup technically. So I just think as far as Nvidia goes, this stock is a little bit risky at these levels. It's like this thing could absolutely pop off. If you're not in at the lows, though, it's very difficult to say, yeah, I want to take a position on Nvidia here. No, you're looking for that position like here, here, or here. This is not bearish to start off. I would be much more bearish if this went up to like 145. I wouldn't be bearish. I would just be like bullish, but contrarian bullish and be like, all right, pullback time. We do something like that all of a sudden, bam, to the downside just for a pullback. Yeah, that makes the most sense to me, actually, as we see some kind of move to attempt to go to 140 or 145. Then we see this thing actually start to break key levels. But anytime that key level is broken, look for the retest and look for rejection. It's as simple as that. Okay, can I fix this? We have, as of right now, see, like on the shorter time frames, like your 5-minute, you're losing this low, right? That's not necessarily a good thing. But if you take into consideration what? Futures, where are you? You're still right there. You're still right there. You're still in that zone. Like this could be the only little pullback that you get, right? We want to see these lows taken out in the futures now. But I'm not inclined to really do too much with this information that we do have. I'm really not inclined to do much. Things are being funky, though. Things are being so funky these days. Like those wicks yesterday, those were crazy. How long do you foresee a pullback lasting for intraday if it happens? I would say like any little pullbacks. Well, let me go through it on my other charts real quick, and I'll figure it out. Let me see how long or like where we could get to and things like that. Okay, so I have from my notes from looking at futures this morning that this is still the area where a long setup is in play. Yeah, because of the strength down here. It's once we lose down in here that I'm more worried. Anything in this bar, I'm very happy. And overall, you're still within the zone. You just saw it break out of the zone, so you can test anywhere in it, right? You can really come down, and that's why you look at this buying bar and you say, okay, if we see good stuff here, or, it could be take the shot, right? A lot of day traders will take the shot. If they see a boom, they're happy. If they need a stop, it's right there. Like futures traders for sure. For the SPY, this would be a little bit more difficult. Let's see. Let's see what people do in about 15 minutes or so. Let me see here. Let me look at some numbers. Okay. Let's look how expensive things are as well. There. What price are we at right now? 593. Okay. So I will keep futures up on my other screen and tell you if we're breaking through critical levels. 30-minute here. We are coming down into the depths, into the absolute depths, like the lowest you can go for the time being. And you're looking a little flaggy there as well. So we'll see if that low is taken out. And I will let you know when it is. This is how we go to retest maybe 5,900 or 591, our daily expected move. Somewhere in this bar could be possible. But as of right now, you have not lost the low. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it, Christopher, if you're asking about those things. Oh, wait, how long do you foresee a pullback lasting intraday if that happens? Yeah, so I'm looking right now. Literally right now is where I'm looking at, paying attention to futures for the time being. If you guys wanted to, we could do extended hours here so you can kind of see. Extended hours is going to show you like almost an equal low right now. But if you include the price action from futures, you're still not in a worrisome spot, even if you take out this low. So low, 592.82. Low 592.83. That 1 cent does matter. Okay, so with price action, yes, I do look at futures markets sometimes for price action and comparing it to what the SPY looks like in regular trading hours. I'll ask, would you guys like to leave extended hours up when we're looking at the SPY today? Would that help you guys out with the price action? We need to lose 5,900. Yeah, that's why you heard me shout out. We can go all the way down to something like 5,900 in the futures and still be okay. Really, 5,900 is where it starts to get risky. Where you see downside, like a retest and downside, is like 580, 58.74, 58.75. So this is still, as of right now, a bullish tilt. No extended, keep it consistent. Good. I like that answer. So we're utilizing futures to help us with direction in this crazy irrational market, right? During irrational times, it is good to be aware of a little bit more, right? You filled gap right there. You got to see if you lose the low now, all kinds of things like that. Tesla looking crazy. Bam! Go Tesla, go, go, go. Now, the interesting part for Tesla was you really needed to take out this level. It did show you a pathway higher, but it kind of showed you a pathway possibly even lower right here. But truly, the level to lose is down in here. That's truly, but right here is a bad level to lose. But look at the retest. Did the retest go well or did it not go well? It didn't go well, right? It would more be like, okay, this happens, we reject, we cross through that. You go, okay, from here to like here. And then if you're risky, feeling frisky, you know, you'd look at that 311, 312 area. That would be your runners right there. These are all like, that's the bad part. It's like day trading is better, I think, in an environment like this. You're just looking for a little bullish setup and things like that. It's kind of the bad part. Looking over, keeping futures in mind, still just sitting. Oh, that's good. Oh, then they're going to like that. Breaking news! Nvidia needs to pull back to 122 and I'd be happy with it, man. 122 is pretty cool. TLT we went over this morning. TLT, we were always aware. Remember when we talked about this? Look at this, okay? We talked about this yesterday too. You have to take out this low to be bearish, right? So always be aware that if this holds up, it can continue. And what you're looking for here is, remember with TLT, we were like, you can go revisit those lows, right? I'm just looking for a decent little trade. So for the 30-minute, you're going down to those lows. So I'm going to utilize this. The reason you don't want to be in TLT anymore right away in the morning, this is why you need to tune into the live show right away. Literally right when that bad boy comes up, click in. Because we talked about TLT about 5 minutes in. And TLT 5 minutes in was not up to here. It was right about here, right? And we said you want to get rid of that right away in the morning. And then you want to see that go up. And the reason you want to get rid of it is in case you wipe out all those divergences, right? The reason that you would want to pay attention to it still is if you do this and then you cross down again. And then you say, okay, another attempt, right? Boom to the downside. You still, in this type of moment for even TLT, look at TLT. It needs to take out what level to go back to the upside. It needs to take out this high, right? So if I'm taking a play here with just a little reversal signal, that's fine. But if my play is so fast that this is going to cause me to worry, then I need to be reacting right away. Right? We said that this morning before open. So make sure you're tuning into the live show, especially if you're trying to follow anything that I'm looking at. You need to be paying attention to the beginning of the live show. I will talk about this stuff, right? And I literally said, this is not where you want to be like holding on to the option now. You want to be selling that for plus 20% or so, right? If you're able to get in at critical levels. If you're underwater or something like that, it says you could be more underwater and there's a chance that it falls through the floor. I don't think it falls through the floor, though. I think that you're going to see the 10-year push higher and either make a lower high or go set up a divergence point. But as a just in case, I don't want to hold on to the option if it's going to do that, right? I'd rather sell it, make a tiny, tiny bit, because I was in at the lows, and then see that turn back down. It's not like the best trade in the world, but this is what trading is all about. You know, if you see this kind of run up in a stock, like that's just like this, it would be like, yeah, okay, we haven't broken the low, so maybe I trim a little bit in here, or maybe I'm paying attention to a little 30-minute in here, and I see boom, 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 and it crosses through that high. It happened in the pre-market, so that's unfortunate if you're doing an option, but we did talk about this morning. We talked about if you don't beat that low, you can make another extended move. You're not beating the low, so you can make another extended move. If you weren't prepared for any of that, if you risked too much money for that, if you didn't have the best position for that, then why not just wait? Right? Why not just wait and see if that low is broken, right? I'm doing the what? What kind of play am I doing here? Premium grab. I'm doing premium grab for TLT first, right? I tried to grab that. I was hoping we would do this more when we opened so that I could grab that premium and then see it turn down. Yeah. This is why, like, following someone in a trade, also, it's hard to know the next steps, right? You should know your next steps are try to take profit and don't try to make a ton of money. It was up by like 90% from the lows. Rivian, I'll check out Rivian. I don't mind Rivian. I haven't looked at it in a bit. I do mind Rivian doing this. I don't know if there's a short seller problem. I would just say this. This is actually really, really nice. Show you the pathway higher. Now dip that bad boy back down. So in order for Rivian to be bearish, do not let people tell you that if Rivian is crashing by even 24%, that's really bearish. You could be in that 30-minute downtrend. You can play the downtrend, right? But if Rivian goes down 24% here, it is still bullish. I know. Crazy, right? That's how good this daily move really is. You can go all the way down to here, it's bullish. You can go all the way down to here on the daily scale, $11, $11.50, and it's still bullish. You have to lose this on the daily. You have to lose this on the 2-hour. Now, losing this one on the 2-hour is not necessarily a good thing, and you want to watch out for that A, B, C corrective push. And then you want to see if you get some signs down here. Maybe you made a weekly expected move, maybe a monthly expected move, and see if that thing makes a new high, right? See if you do this, and then you see that pull back, and right here you go, okay, we're off to the races. Let's go make a new high, right? This could all be done by like next Thursday. That's why I think we're going to be pulling back soon. I'm not guaranteeing it. I know this market is crazy and it's doing crazy things and it can get crazier, right? Oh, let me look at futures. Futures not losing the low yet. You're just about to. And you lost the lows. That means downtrend for a little bit. That means possible downtrend for just a little bit here. Yeah, possible downtrend for a little bit. This means your next level you are looking for starts at, for futures, 59.23. A.m. Monday. That would equate to about 9 a.m. Monday. Right in here. Okay, so you're looking at this bar in here. You're looking here. Right here. Let's see if we break that low today. That would be amazing. But if we come down into here, it's saying, okay, this looks okay. Right? We're looking for it. Price action changes that fast. Like it. Oh, like we said though, whoo, this thing is crazy. This thing is actually crazy. How buyers just try to step in almost at any moment. Crazy. Yeah, so it looks like that retest level would be just below this. So somewhere right in here. So if you wanted to, today would be the day to mark off this whole green bar. Today would be the day to look at that green bar as your daily expected moves there. See if you tap into there. This would say chance zone, right? This would be stop, like for day traders, they would probably put a stop and then put orders in here. So we're just watching that. My overall thoughts on UNH are you have to take out 388 to be back on the bull side from even the 2-hour perspective. A good sign that you could get there would be taking out 341.66 and then seeing a higher low. If you curl down right now, you would just be rejecting and you most likely see deeper prices. If you reject today and curl down, you are looking for the retest down towards 266. If you fail the retest towards 266 to 290, then you are making a new low. And that low could take you down to, where's that little nibble for? It could take you all the way down to 190. I'm not leaning towards that. I think you would see 225. 225 makes a lot more sense for UNH, but we don't know if it's rejecting or not yet. 30 minutes still extremely positive, so you're still trying to be in some kind of uptrend. You saw enough positivity, so a higher low can go a long way here. Because technically, we'll see if it can take out, what's this price right here? High of 322.84. You take out 322.84, you're looking for a higher low from the 30-minute. All right, there's the breaking down. Continuing to break down. Let me flip back over to futures. We had a bullish tilt to start off the morning. We got rid of that bullish tilt right away, and we are going down into the deeper prices, possibly even towards down in here at like 590. I would just say if 590 gets tagged, that's pretty cool. As long as this low isn't taken out. And I don't think we have like big, does anyone see big news out there that could ship this thing to the downside? Is there a big negative pump out happening? Because this is anywhere in there. Anywhere above this is still remaining bullish. Oh, good old Trump talk. We love when Trump's talking. That's always a good thing, huh? They'll make it up on the fly. I believe that too, Jake. We're in that boat together, brother. All right, so now for futures, if you're watching that for a possible uptrend move, you want a break of, let me get the exact number for you. You want a break of 59.57 on the dot. Yeah, it's crazy how many Fed speakers there are. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty wild how many Fed speakers there are today. Actually, like all week. Let me look at that because I had it up. I don't think I've edited it yet. So let's see here. On Monday, you had Bostic, Jefferson, Williams, Logan, and Kashkari. On Tuesday today, you already had Barkin, Bostic, Collins is speaking. And then after that, Musalem, Kugler, Dolly, Hammock, all of those are speaking today. Tomorrow, you have no speakers tomorrow, but the next day you get initial jobless claims, and with that initial jobless claims towards the end of the day, Fed Williams and the Fed balance sheet will come out. From that standpoint forward, you have Jerome Powell speaking at something not too important is what I see on Sunday. And then you go into next week. So you have a ton of Fed speakers today and a few more on Thursday. Very interesting. Very cool. Very cool. Very new. Very fresh. All right, let's pull up those charts. Exactly. Like those, if you guys, I don't see them on my screen. I've seen everyone post those 1 minute like wicks in here. If you guys see that, you should know that. That's why we put out the Patreon just post really quickly saying, watch out for the next push, right? Watch out shorting in this area. Because those wicks to me are dealers grabbing things, are market makers grabbing things because they want to do what? They want to keep the algorithmic move going, is what that overall says to me. And if you notice right after that, right after those wicks, you make a new high and then you're not giving up trend again today. So you might have higher up to reach to, which is just crazy when you consider this MACD. I think by the end of today, I think today, if you want my opinion, this is just an opinion. This has nothing to do with the technicals, anything like that. I probably won't even risk money behind this. We'll see. But for me, this really looks like today, if we see another upward move today and we continue that into like 1 o'clock and then you see another push, well, 1 o'clock, I guess you guys don't know my time zone, but if 2 hours before the close, we see like a little push for 30 minutes and then an hour and a half before the close, you see that pull back for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then we see another upside move, what they're trying to do is the same thing as yesterday. So if you weren't aware of this yesterday, we were looking for that push up to 595 or even 596. And that push didn't come till end of day, which is very funny because you had great price action in here and then you dipped all the way below that low for some reason. Very interesting, right? This was to make it so anyone with those 595 calls get pushed out of the position and then it starts to ramp up and they would have made money. That's the funny part. Like, that's how crazy this market is. That's how much they are trying to keep this algorithmic move going. No. People think I'm from, a lot of people here think I'm from California, which I do. I mean, my grandpa, he passed during COVID times, so that was unfortunate. But he's from California. But me, myself, like in Wichita, when I meet a new person, they think I'm from California. I'm just like, nope. And then when I played soccer, some of my British teammates thought I was like raised in England or something. I was like, I do one of those adaptable voices. I don't know why. I think it's from my dad because he works with a lot of people in the Middle East and other countries. Yeah, for some reason, me and my dad, we like talk differently. We think that people understand you better if you talk in the accent that they're talking to you in English, like the accent. It's never like super thick or anything, but I'll say things like mate to British people all the time. I say mate now to like regular just Americans too. You come from money? No. Well, at the moment that we started to make some money, we ran into some problems when I was young. That's how life is. I had a very nice life. I will put it that way. I'm very fortunate. But yeah, just middle class type situation there. Not a trust fund baby or anything like that. I'm kind of glad I'm not. Those people end up, not saying everyone does, but a lot of those people have a rough time being a good person. Ah, yes, Lad. Lad was more the Scottish teammate. The Scottish teammate said lad all the time. He was hard to understand. Man, you live with I lived with we housed in high school like 3 Scousers. Man, you want to talk about accents, talk about Scousers, man. Those guys are hard to understand. What is MNMD? I'll go look on my other screen real quick. Whoa! So why do you want me to look at this? Are you in it already? Monumental, are you in it? Oh, it was very fun. I'm very glad. It got me very versed. Like, it made me learn how Brazilians are major cheaters on their significant others. Because the Brazilian thing for men is, I just have such a big heart that I love multiple people. Small position. It looks good. I'd say you're getting into the area for tests and things like that. I think it could extend. I wouldn't get too greedy. That's a great move. That is a full 6% yesterday and 14% today. But great structure. Let's do a measured move for this to see if you can find like some kind of target. Yeah, so target for that would be about $9. $9 would be fantastic. And $9 is where you start to run into problems. Best case scenario, though, you're able to make a new high above, what is that number? 1044. And then you see a pullback and everyone thinks it's done. And you go, we're in a positive trend, my friend. Selling at the right times. Well, just look like, it just means, maybe you need to react and at least like break even earlier and things like that. I don't know exactly, you have trouble taking profit. It's like, well, then sometimes just take the profit when the profit's good, right? Kind of like the premium trades, like, hey, we saw a 14% move, I'm going to take some profit or move my stop up, right? Like on a 2-hour basis or like a 30-minute basis, just constantly move the stop up to the bottom of the bar. So now stop at 712. You see another 30-minute move. Okay, put the stop at the high of the previous bar, 792 if that pops up. You just move that stop up. So you're like guaranteed to make money. Literally, if you have trouble taking profit, it's like just keep the 30-minute and you're going to ride that 30-minute move as high up as it can go. You can see wicks and stuff down in there, but once you make profit, you make profit. Right? It's not a bad thing to make profit, even if you miss out on a little bit more upside. That's a 14% move, so hopefully it's paying for you. Time's too early, time's too late. Well, the time's too early, are you making money? Right? If the time's too, I would rather be too early and make money than to be too late and lose money. Does that make sense, Monumental? I would rather sell everything way too early and make money than sell everything too late and lose. Right? The worst feeling for me as a trader is seeing a trade be positive and be up to those levels that I like to take profit, the 100%, the 50% to 150% area. It hits target and I say, oh, it could keep going. And then it just flips all of a sudden. It gaps down the next day. And then I'm like, shit, that's the worst situation. So if you want to never put yourself in that situation again, if you're ever having the inkling of selling, but you also want to hold for longer, sell to where you make like at least 10% profit, right? Make something out of the move and let the runners go. And then if you mess up at any point, it's like, whatever, you made money, right? So if you're having the trouble of being like too late, I would say that's more of a problem. Early, whatever, there's always going to be another trade setup. You don't want to be early every time because you want to make sure to have some good winners, right? But if that's a serious problem you have, then you got to tackle that individually. Seeing a positive trade turn negative and then beating myself up. That's fine. Yeah, if you get to like a half of your target and the money's good and you go, I want to make, and this could be for, this could be mutually exclusive, it could be different plays, it could be one trade, the next trade you're just different. Based on the look, if you have a bad feeling, it's like, okay, make sure you make money out of the move, leave the rest as runners. Make 10%, leave the rest as runners. So you make something. There is here or zero. Yeah, well, then you got to do things differently, right? That's why we talk about this all the time. We're like, we can't really like perfectly trade together because I like to do position stuff. Sometimes I like to have fun and do a few little 2DTE plays and things like that. But in order to stick with me the entire time, you'd have to get every single mental update in my own head all the time, right? And I wish I had the time for that. If I did that, guys, it would be expensive. I would just put it that way. You would be having to not only pay for my time, but you'd have to pay for my time away from my daughter. So I would rather help you out and try to help you find out those decisions that are bad, those decisions that are good for you, find out your little problems, and then see if we can find solution to those problems. I'm not that degen anymore. If you're a degen, you'd have like 100 contracts, like way out of the money towards like what you'd have like 100 contracts for 603 right now and be like, yeah, we're getting there. That's a degen move. You'd be like 603 by tomorrow, which weirdly enough is possible, but not and probable actually, but not necessarily a good amount of time. You might get theta burned, kind of like I did on Friday. Oh yeah, let's look at GLD, see if it passed through the zone. Nope, not through the zone. Not through the zone yet. Now that's a shitty drawing of the zone, right? And maybe we want to look at futures, right? Look at futures, see if you're going into that uptrend. Look at this. This is kind of good, right? Raising that floor, raising that floor, raising that floor. Now, what have you not seen yet? You haven't necessarily seen the way higher. We haven't seen the way higher from here. We haven't seen it from this high right yet. Let's see if it's touching there now. 32558, 32541. Okay, so you have not seen that way higher. But if you're building before that, if all of this was like, hey, we're building before that, I would look for this and then to dip down for just a second or intra move and then see if you can head up to something like 3320. 3320 would be nice for this. Doesn't this just look like the SPY a few days ago? Or a few weeks ago? A little bit, right? You saw this, you plummeted, then you see a rip, then you come down for the 2-hour higher low. It looks kind of like the market right now. That means gold, or the market just a few weeks ago. So that means gold could see something like this. It could just start going. Nothing about this is like super bearish yet for the 2-hour time frame. For your 4-hour, it might look more bearish, right? You're seeing what? A new low. And then you haven't really gone up past that level, right? If you're looking at the 4-hour, you're going, oh, we need to break through that. We need to see this, then this, and then you get to this point, and then you see what happens. Because that's gap fill for even futures. Crazy. So it looks like you could potentially get to gap fill with that move. If you start to roll and lose this level right here, that means watch out for a slight downtrend. See if you keep breaking all the lows. Very cool. Very cool. Very nice. Some downside to start off. A little bit of calls leaking into the market. I think that's what the market maker actually wants. Man, I don't know. This SPY pump is not necessarily off the backs of like Apple. It's not off Amazon. It's not off these. But if they're just building, right, these are remaining at lower prices. This is the worrisome thing for me is these things have all pulled back technically. A lot of them have. Ooh, what is that for Google? I don't like this for Google right now. It dipped down into the buyers. Then it went up. Now it's bouncing off of the center. That's good. Watch if Google rolls here. Just a hint. I mean, it overall is still pointing this way. But there's some risk here of seeing another downward move that breaks this low and then getting the corrective push lower. Yeah, you're kind of hoping that whips up first. But let's go back to my top. My topic is, look at Apple. It's pulled back. So you're saying, oh, CTAs buy at highs. Well, look at all the things that have pulled back while we've still remained going higher for the SPY, right? All of these things have been pulling back while we remain higher for the SPY. So they might not buy the SPY. They might not buy this. They might be buying little bits of everything else and then buy the SPY as well. Yesterday was record retail buying in the first 3 hours of trading. Really? Oh, yeah. I did see some stats about that. That's why I think they still want bait today. I think they want to use retail to go higher. I think they want to use it. That's why they're grabbing those orders. They're grabbing those orders. If you got that order grabbed, congratulations. That 589 order grab. If you got that, if you just had an order for like what 50 cents or like $1.50 at a random call level down here, just prepared if it goes down there for a call, and they went and grabbed that, you immediately made like 200% or 100%. That's awesome. Disney, someone did ask about Disney yesterday, so let's go over that. Looking at Disney, my assessment with Disney is it needs to pull back like everything else. Everything needs a pullback. Is this overall bad for Disney? No, this is great for Disney. This is fantastic for Disney. I mean, let's just look at it very, very simply, right? Okay, boom, boom, boom. What did the daily do now? Took out that high. So where do you want to look for something like Disney? The best case scenario is you get down into this zone. I don't think you want to lose that zone necessarily, but if you wanted to go where the buyers actually are, you would maybe even include the gap here, because technically, where did the buyers step in? Well, the buyers stepped in here and here, right? But that started right there. So you could almost include that bar and go like this and say anywhere in this zone is probably good price for potential investment for like a month or two. All right, this would be a short-term investment in my mind. And then if it keeps that positive trend, it could turn into a long-term one. If it keeps the positive trend for a long time, you make dividend money over time, and you just hold this bad boy until it makes new all-time highs, potentially towards 2025 or 2026, right? Because I see uptrend into 2026 with what's going on here. So this whole area down here would be good. This would still be good, right? Until you see that full way lower. Do you see how much work that would take? So you could literally just do this. You could do this. You could do this. And it would all be fine. And what you're looking for is, do I see anything in here? Do I see a buy come in here? Or do I see a bounce and roll? Okay, do I see anything come in here? Or do I see a buy from here? Or do I bounce and roll? And then do I see anything in here? Do I see 2-hour divergence? Do I have a weekly expected move, monthly expected move, like anything to help me out? And then you got earnings when? I guess that's not till August, right? So pretty extended time frame here. I don't think it takes this long, though. That's why I'm not really leaning towards the downward gaps. I think you just see something ugly for a few days, like some kind of flash move down, and then you just see that come back up. So just be prepared, right? It's no matter how fast or slow, it happens, the pullback, just pay attention to everything that you pay attention to. Pay attention to what? Your 3 to 5 reasons for a trade, and then you can look for those trades here, here, and here. Look for the signs. VIX starting to curl up just a little bit there. I'll go look on my other screen. Let's go look if this thing's getting a little risque. Risque. Let me go look real quick. Okay, I'm still on SPX here. We're still breaking the low. We have not exceeded to buy up yet. We still have the opportunity to go down into this bar is what we're overall seeing from price action right now. And that's about it. Like really, you're just seeing the next downward move. But still, anything above like 5,900 is extremely bullish. I think you'll get your pullback. I just think it would lead into, I think your pullback would more so be either starting tomorrow, starting at the end of the day today. I don't think it starts during retail hour. I think you're more looking at bait. Pinned here would make sense too, Mag. Pinned here would make sense. Actually, this type of market would really like to do what? Look at how strong it is. What do really strong stocks do when they want to go up higher? They just move back and forth sideways, right? So if you move sideways, then you have to start paying attention to what? Well, just, hey, does the 2-hour get down by the center line? Does the 2-hour cross up? And then do we break through, right? Do we see this thing just ping pong around like this, start to coil up, and then you see break, retest, break, and then you start to go to the upside? Or just break, you can take initial break, watch it come back down, see if it retests, goes well, goes good, and then keep your stop at the previous low. Yeah, sideways would be fine. Sideways would make a lot of sense, right? If you have a very bullish market, then you don't see selling of that market, right? Everyone's bullish, so why would they be selling dramatically? You'll see little up, down, up, down, up, down. Ooh, QBTS up. Let's go look. QBTS. Oh, I mean, you got big move up, right? Off of potentially not even news. Do you see the bullishness that's just crazy coming in right here? I would much rather that pull back. Like, I'm not inclined to look at this at times like this. Now, I want to show you something actually from this. If I was an investor, would I be worried at all about this drop right here? I think this drop is a little more worrisome, and you're really watching this as an investor, like, do we make a new low? I want you to see what's going on here. Let's see. Okay, equal low, slightly higher. So low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. And then you just see that boom to the upside. So if you were just invested in this, you never saw anything that said like, hey, this is going to be like scary for months, right? You never started that actual downtrend. You saw these flash moves into negative territory, but you never remained in negative territory. So this remained bullish the whole time. And now you've taken out the level where FOMOers could be involved, right? You see the little breakout here. Okay, boom. No traps shown today. Am I chasing this or anything like that? Me personally, no. That's the highest it's ever been. Say congratulations if you're in it. If you're not in it, then you're looking for what? Well, where did the buyer step in? Right? The first place you look for is where the buyer stepped in. So it'd be this bar to this gap. Sellers came in there. So let's do something like, actually, you could take the whole thing, but I would just say boom on that wick right there. Right in here would be very, very nice. If you're really looking at it seriously, though, you would just say, okay, maybe I include entire gap because that gap is where the buyers came in, and you would go with something like this and say this point right here, 1250 looks pretty good. If I can see good things there, I'm pretty happy with it. 499. Thank you so much, Joseph. Appreciate it, buddy. Thoughts on LLY? Yeah, we can look at LLY. Thank you for donating. Appreciate you, buddy. You guys don't have to do that unless you're trying to get my attention, I guess. Once again, this one, you do see the pathway lower for an instant. Okay, you see that way lower for an instant here. Divergence reversal, look at this, look at this. Divergence reversal, right? So this is why we pay attention to divergence. Look at the big move that came with that to lose the low. What do? You react up. So for something like LLY, what would this be? Right here would be the risk to reward. If I don't even have calls, maybe I take a little hedge in case this is going to get it right. And then it drops down, reverses back to the upside to test what? Right in here. And then it drops. This is the moment where you short. This is where shorting is easier. Right there. That's where shorting is easier. And then boom, you say, okay, trade done at the low, trade done. And then what do you do right now? Well, right now, if you're able to see good things here, daily goes like this, daily goes like that. What did you do? Boom, boom, boom. Takes out the high. So if you're going to go all the way down to where those buyers first started and then hold price there, that's a good thing. Weirdly enough, for the look for right now, with the information we have right now for LLY, it would say, I'm either going to do this and reject and set up the lower high to break these lows, or I'm going to blow through that high and continue. Then correct. Or at least continue, right? Maybe you see that explode higher past this high. That would be great. Then you can utilize all of this. So I think this looks good. 2-hour perspective, always if you're wanting to get into the little bit smaller time frames to help you make a decision, that would say I need to take out what? I need to take this level out pretty seriously. If I don't take out that level, I can be patient. I can look for lower levels and then look for the moment that that's taken out. Maybe the divergence play is on down here. It looks like the divergence is already on. So you're going to get that attempt at least to break that high. This will make a lot of sense in the course, by the way, when we add this to divergences. When we talk about divergences and price action together, that's my plan for that video, is talk about divergences in one part and also utilizing price action to understand if the play is still going well or if you need to pay attention to managing the trade. As of right now, with this look from LLY, you would want to be paying attention to managing the trade. That means if the 30-minute curls down here, which it actually showed you a way higher, we'll see. If the 30-minute curls down here, it's not necessarily bearish. You can hold up here and in here, right? It just depends on where it wants to go. So if the 30-minute would go negative, are you going to have to react? Right? Is your play too short term and you want to look for a deeper price, deeper price, deeper price? Then you see that react up. And look at this. Bam, bam, bam. Ooh, that'd be pretty nice. If it dipped down to here, it still wouldn't be that bearish. You got to take out that low. So if you see this and you see that whip up, you go, yes, I take a chance with it. Stop beneath. And then you just go make a new high, start to roar on the daily time frame. This looks pretty good. I don't mind LLY here. As long as if we get a retest, it goes well, I'm pretty bullish on LLY. Right? You're still looking if that needs to roll in some way, but right now it looks pretty good. You're just not making the new high, so be aware of downside still. Be aware of the management of the trade still. Was that good, Joseph? Do you get what I'm saying there? I just want to make sure it's clear. All right, let's see if we still are just seeing wicks down into at 590, what? 593, 592. Good. Everything looks fine. What up, Noah? How you doing? We got a couple Noahs in here. But pharma tariffs are. I'm gonna tell you something, Christopher, and just take it with a grain of salt, if you will. But pharma tariffs are uncertain and haven't been addressed yet. If you are waiting for any kind of concern to be addressed and see that in the news is already going to be late. You have to try to see it in price. You have to see when people are moving before the news comes out. You have to see where those buyers step in before news comes out. And then you just set up the plan for the trade, right? Yeah, it's as simple as that. If I waited for the news to tell me that this was good, you know where I'd be buying stocks right now? What, like here? 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 Well, if I would have waited till the news told me this was good, then I was probably shorting the hell out of the market on Monday. Was that a good decision? No, they're late. The people who shorted Friday benefited from their hedges. And then they said, oh, yeah, Besant said that's not that bad. Right? You're late. In every single time frame, you're going to be late. For the little news on the 5-minute, for the big news on the 2-hour. No, I haven't, Richard. I haven't watched any of them. I haven't watched any of them, man. I haven't watched any of them. What they say, Richard? Are we loading the boat somewhere? Where are we loading it? Where are we loading it? Yeah, Christopher. I just wanted to point that out to you, and I don't want it to be like something that pisses you off. It kind of does piss you off, but it also tells you like how you can understand how the market mechanics and how that market mechanics works with the news. You're going to see this. This is how the news works. Boom, boom, boom. You do this. The news right here tells you, oh, stocks might be coming back. Then it dips down. They go, no, stocks aren't coming back. Then it goes back up. Then they say stocks are still risky at this point. What's happened throughout here? There's already been one trade set up, right? You already missed out on one trade here. And the news is still saying, I don't know about this. Then the news says, yes, it's still good, actually. It's still good. It's still good. And they're right. And they're right. And they're right. And then something bad happens. And then you bounce and they go, no, stocks are okay. It's perfectly fine. Right? Everything's perfectly fine. Boom, it goes down. Now stock's already bad. You already missed out on the short. This is the long. This is the short. And this is your patience time, right? Patience, short. Patience, long. That's how the news works most of the time. I would say like 90% of the time. I'd say a huge proportion of the time, you're just seeing news completely tell you that it's good while it's good to FOMO you in. I suppose that one of them held up. Oh, dude. I can't believe anything. I think he's too Twitter oriented. He's too Chat GPT oriented for me. Yeah, Christopher. I just want to let you know. And what does that mean? That means when things are looking pretty risky and you're being told it's risky, you have to move. Why do you think I do not have social media on my phone? Why do you think I don't look at Twitter on my phone? Why do you think I don't look at the news like at all? Because price is going to tell me everything I need to know. Truth be told, I will confidently say this. Truth be told, if my chart looked like this, oh, not like that. If my chart just looked like this, right? Say like a 2 hour, right? If my chart just looked like this, all I had were moves, weekly, daily, and monthly moves. I have my little boxes, right? My little resistance blocks, which I don't even need to draw those because I've looked at them enough. I can make really good decisions because I've looked at markets for so long and I've studied price action for so long that I can probably make better decisions and have a win rate of over 50%. I would say probably over 60%, right? But I like to add things in because I'm not one of those people that likes to just buy an area and have a stop. I like to see more info to feel a little bit better about the play. That increases my 60% to 65, 70, maybe 72, right? And I know I'll lose every once in a while, so I'll pay attention to my risk management and my position size. But this is truly, if you get really good, you should be able to be over 50% with just this. And I think that's important. And that's why we're going to really go over these boxes. We're going to really go over price action in that full technical analysis course down there. Okay. Especially while it's on discount. That way, a ton of people can get it. A ton of people learning price action will be fantastic. We teach price action in a weird way with the management of the trade. Now that we've had this community for a decent amount of time, I'm fine with adding something that digs you in a little deeper. I just don't like that people think like, oh, now I can unlock myself on a 5-minute chart when I've been doing 2 hours and being successful, right? Utilize it for the time frame that you're still heavily inclined to use, where you have the highest edge for yourself for your trading strategy, okay? When we put out that video, I don't want to encourage people they can be a day trader every single day and make money every single day. That's kind of why I've hesitated with it. But now that people are really liking it in this environment, it's very important to understand this at these highs, how things actually break down. I think it's a good timing to do it. I'm going to try to finish it this weekend, Jack Cats. Yeah, I'm trying to finish it this weekend, Jack Cats. Yeah, Suri's got a good little statement there. And I still like FX Evolution. If it's in the press, it's in the price. And that what the upside that you see from the press release is FOMO, people who weren't willing to take on risk. You have to assume some risk, guys. 4 out of 5 on the 3-minute timer. Let's go, Coulter. Yeah, Jack Katz. I'm trying to put aside some time with this 3-day weekend to fully just completely finish the thing. Because there's just a few aspects we have to go over as far as like when to hedge versus when to actually take the short position, like the hedge position versus the short position, taking premium versus not taking premium, that kind of thing. And then we have to talk about that with price action as well. Where the heck is Tony? Yeah, so Richard, what levels was he calling out? Oh, dude, I'll watch them, man. I'll watch today's. How about that, Richard? I had to go. Yeah. As I said, load all the boats. The thing is, weirdly enough, I see the reason for saying that, Richard. What up, Tony? There you go. Your buddy Tony's in here, Richard. What's going on with gold? Gold's retesting the zone right now. Gold's doing bullish things to try to get a retest, and if that retest goes well, ooh, that could be good. What was the turning point in your trading career where you went full-time? Truly, the thing that made me go full-time, I was forced to go full-time. COVID took my business in 2020. I had an app that showed you locally owned restaurants, daily specials like happy hours and things like that. And I was growing that business by myself with my own money, doing everything. So I've had all my money in it. And I had the marketing, side job that was still like 30 hours, the 40 hours a week. Thankfully, I was good at it. And then when COVID hit, obviously all the restaurants shut down. So what do you think happened to my business and all my money back then? Not very good things, let's put it that way. I lost my house then. So the thing that happened to me was the only thing I had left was a little trading account. I think it had I'm pretty sure it had somewhere between $30,000 to $40,000. I built up from about 15 to about 30 at the time. And then I was able to get it to 40. And then I said, I'm going to treat this very seriously. I'm going to stop just swing trading because it's a little slow for me because I had to make money back then. I had to. Like, I had to make money. And that was before I had my family, which is, I'm very happy that didn't happen with my family. We were in such a great spot, you know, compared to back then. Very, very thankful. Yeah, so COVID is what made me study charts for years. And I told you guys my schedule, right? You guys remember my schedule back then? Oh, Nvidia's tight as hell, Ryan. There's no telling. Look for the breakout up, breakout down, man. But I think you see maybe breakout up and then the opposite reaction down. I think that would be interesting, unless we absolutely just blow off to 603 for the SPY. Yeah, my schedule was nuts back then. It was like when I was in college playing college soccer and working 30 hours a week in my sales job at the same time when I was like 19. Holy shit. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. That is one thing. Yesterday you had at least people going bearish. So you do have people still willing to take short positions, which can be fuel to the fire, right? It can be fuel to the fire. I'm going to ask you guys a question real quick. Let's see if we're I remember you were up for I remember you were up for long. Sorry, Invisible Gamer. I'm up for the long side here for sure. I don't see anything bad enough to tell me like downtrend. We've continued to be irrational. I thought we would start to see pullback, but it looks like we want to maybe pump this into expiration exactly. If not, just blow it out of the water. I don't know about blow it out of the water. I think VIX, if you're really looking at it, it's trying to come back. I think this will be interesting. And I think, you know, you can do things, but I think the 2 hours is going to curl down. I think we're going to take care of that gap first. I think you need people to be more bullish and show like not a lot of hedging. Right now you have hedging and some shorts in there. Tomorrow, Bernie. People were bearish, so it didn't go down. The bulls got confident. Nothing will pull back. So that's why the weak bulls are stuck. I think the bullish trend here, I think they showed their hand on accident, and I bet dealers or market makers, I bet they're pissed. I bet they're pissed at TradingView, because a lot of people could see the liquidity grabs, those little 30-second liquidity grabs. I didn't see them on my charts, but I saw them posted everywhere, and I was just like, holy crap, they're actually like trying to grab liquidity to head higher. And that's when I put out the Patreon post right in here, when I started to see that all over the internet. Because I was really looking at how we would break down yesterday, and then we just did everything bullish we had to not break down. And then we saw those wicks, and I go, they're going to reach up higher. So I'm still watching 596.21. I'm still watching 598.60. 598.60 would be the 6,000 test for the SPX. In these times, divergence is not, if you can't tell with how I've talked lately, we see the divergences. Have I been talking about the divergences over and over and over again? Not necessarily. The divergences are telling you weakness is like around in the momentum. If those just get blown out, though, you're toast. So paying attention to the price action is what we've been doing. They were less than 1 second each. Okay, see, I didn't even know that. They screwed. Did you see that, Tony? How they screwed over the 595 calls at the end of the day? Did you see how they screwed those over? People trying to hold into the end of the day. Did you see that? They screwed over the 590. I think they even screwed over the 594s. Let's see, what time is this? 30? 5. Yeah, they probably allowed the 594s to break even. But the 595s, they probably closed all their positions 30 minutes before, or like literally like 2 minutes before it started to get up to 595. I did, showed my coworker the live manipulation. It's all just market makers stealing money right now. But it's like, to do what? Well, right now you would say your 5-minute could potentially be in like, the bad market, right? But you're just building and building in here. PCC, pretty bullish. So maybe they just sit price here. Well, you're kind of pinned at the, well, let's look at the call walls. Yesterday you were kind of pinning price a little bit at the end of the day. Let me go look at the walls here. And these can change throughout the day, but for now it would be 600. 600, you're going to gravitate to 600. That means they rolled them, I think. I think the 597s got rolled to 600, or 595s just got rolled to 600 for the SPY, which means, when do you usually see resistance before or for a call wall? Here's how a call wall works, by the way. So 600 is our call wall today. So here's how a call wall works, all right? From this, if you see any kind of upside and then you resist before, that's where you kind of watch out a little bit, like those positions might have got closed. But if you actually see this boom and get past that price for a moment, then pull back, that could be the moment where those options are rolling to something like 603. I'm not someone who's like the most versed in rolling, but I understand price action with those type of levels. So you'll hear me call out those levels every single week. You probably heard that for the last like year and a half. The reason I'm calling out those levels is because I'm looking, where do we stop? Do we stop before it? Do we stop at it? Do we stop past it? Right? At it and past it, and then we pull back usually means you're going through a period of rolling if you're holding positive trend. If you do it before it, there's more risk of seeing like well before it. I'm talking like 598, not like 599.50. If you do it there, it's just as good. It's still like, okay, we're bullish trend. Maybe someone who knows more about it would also be able to inform us in the chat. That'd be nice. I think gold is only starting, or is it the end of the move? If you're looking at a specific ticker like you posted there, let's look at that ticker. You don't have a lot of liquidity in this. So for this ticker, I think you're at least going to potentially even gap fill. Okay, this is where I would draw that. Let me find an actual level for you first. So the level you really want to get to is 48 for that ticker, GDMN. This is where you really want to get to like 48 and see what's happening with price. Best case scenario, if you're back on the bull and this is some kind of flag, I want you to see this. So if this is some kind of flag, right, you might be drawing these up, something like this. It's not necessarily like a good flag, right? It's a little bit expanded. You can kind of see how it's slowly expanding. What you would want to see here is a major breakout above this high. Then before you really beat this high, you'd really like that to come back down and retest that area. And then you're in that trend, right? Show the new high. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. Take it out. Then gold's in the uptrend again. If you actually reject from something like, that 48, you have more risk of making a new low because you're not taking out the high. So you always want to be looking for, okay, is this going to test this level and turn around, or is it going to do this and then turn around? Or is it just not going to turn around? You see it start to collapse, right? That's how this should behave, right? Sometimes it doesn't go how it should. It just likes to do its thing, but it looks like you're trying to test 48. And if that goes well and you're able to break through, the buyers step in, you'd be trying to take out this high and then look for the retest. Retest would be the next trade. Or if this retest right now goes bad, that might be the next trade as well. That would be 2 hour. Look at the MACD. Use your other skills. MACD is still negative. Going up into what? 48. We go up to 48 and you fall short and you roll, right? You roll. There's just not a lot of good bars in here for this particular stock. So I'd be looking at GC, gold futures. Yeah, so it's the same. It's the same as So as on GC, right? Gold futures, you just broke out. You made the new high. Ooh, if you get a retest and you go higher, what's the deal here? Well, you're looking for about 33.30, maybe a little higher. Yeah, you're looking at 33.30 though. I think that's the 4-hour. No, you've already broken through the 4-hour. You might be an uptrend now. You've shown some good stuff. I'm actually going to lean towards a break of that high that we just talked about. All right, here we go from the SPY. So what does the SPY need to show us on this 5-minute? Who can tell me the exact level that we need to break through for this 5-minute? Come on, we got this. Small bulls are selling at the highs. Yeah, you're selling those little rips, and you're just buying every little dip. That's what's still happening at this point. So in order for the SPY to be able to go to the upward daily expected move by the end of the day, what level would we need to take out, right? Does anyone know what TQQQ? It's a leveraged QQQ ETF. It is triple leveraged triple level leveraged QQQ ETF. And I would do my analysis, Noah, on the Qs, not the T triple Qs. 595, 595, pretty good, right? We would like to see that peak above it, right? 595. Let's actually get the high there, right? If you get the high there, 595.25 was the perfect answer. I understand if you're like, hey, we're really waiting for like, 595.54 or something like that. I get it, but it's just this right here. If you're looking at regular hours, it's this right here. Let me give you, let's see if this, 5 minutes not going to be good to look at on this, but if you're really talking about like futures, futures would like to take out that same level towards, what is the high there? 595.7 on the dot. And then you're back to good things. That's what the futures is overall saying right now. For the short term, right? These are very short term. Yeah, Noah, just keep it clear. So it's kind of like if you see a weekly divergence that could turn up, like for the Qs, this is when I like T triple Qs. If you see like a weekly or daily divergence, usually a bigger time frame, then you can be pretty confident holding on to that for a few months, and you'll just make a little bit more. That's just anything that's leverage is going to be important with timing. And options, I stay away from options with those a lot of the time. Do we need to look at AMC? What's that bad boy doing? Because I think the 30-minute cross down, if the 30-minute cross down, what does that mean? Not good things. You want the 30-minute to cross up here and never look back, right? 2-hour failed to cross. Perfect, because the 30-minute did what? And the 2-hour did what? Oh, it peaked above that high, right? Peaked above that high. And I don't even think this is the right level for that high, by the way. There you go. You see the peak? Peaks above that high. Doesn't lose that low. Doesn't have to dip even further into here. Where does it go? It goes to where the strong buyers stepped in. Look at this. We might talk about this too with price action. Look at this. Bam. Love it. That's a different kind, right? We'll have to take it in stride. We're going to focus on blocks first. Then we'll get into the actual bars and how to find it. Yeah, I think you're looking for that in summer. Frederick, I agree. I think 600 or 6,000 for the SPX could be hit like today. Well, yeah, but just like a bear who always calls 4,200, if you're always saying, but we don't know how Frederick's trading. I think Frederick's doing a good job. I don't think it's bad. It's obviously not bad. He's calling the right direction, and I think he's right now. I think that 6,000 could get tested today. I don't think 600. I think you could stop short at 600, like at 598 for the SPY. Oh, okay, good, Richard. It's the 6,500 thing that I'm like, yeah, we have to get a pullback first for that, in my opinion. You don't have, well, actually, that's the bad language. You don't have to get the pullback for it. I think you are high probability to see a pullback in order to get to 6,500 after we see now the test of 6,000. If you had conviction at those lows, though, and you were able to hold till 6,000 for SPX, congratulations, man. There you go. Here we go. Keep it going. Keep it going. Come on. Break, break, break. I'll tell you when the SPX is saying we're in an uptrend again. We're going to first attempt at an uptrend. Hopefully JP Morgan is going. Where is my JP Morgan? That's good. So far. Very good. Here, this is the crazy part though, is like you have to lose down here to be really bearish. Yeah, it looks like this. Break through this high right here on the shorter time frames, and you're trying to break through to make the new high, right? You did break the low, but then you made this little higher low in the shorter term, so it looks like you're going to try some kind of uptrend here. It's a good thing. Things are moving. Hey, they're moving now. They're moving. VIX is curling up because of hedging. Hedging. VIX is curling back down right now, actually. $30-minute for VIX did not show the pathway higher. I'm hesitant to always do price action things on volatility, but you can see here we fell short. So we're still looking for that to continue to roll down and down and down. I am leaning towards a test of my 1683. If you wanted to be perfect with it, 1699 would be like perfect tag. You think Qs look better? Qs look holding price better. As far as looking better, though, this is the low from May 15th. This is the low from May 15th. So weirdly enough, the SPY is actually holding up better. The Qs saw a stronger move in here and then move sideways. So for the 2 hour, I would say the Qs, if they would experience a drop here, I think the Qs see a pretty good boom. But I'm mainly focused on the SPY. I think the SPY is easier to just see what's going on. And the one time I do the Qs, I get theta burned. Futures again. During this open buyback window until mid-June, ironically, critics of the change in 1982 allow corporate buybacks was a fear of market manipulation. Mike. Yeah, watch it carefully, John. I think it should be okay, but you always want to have that plan for if it goes wrong. We can look at Nvidia. It's just sideways as hell. Is it losing this? No. If we're not losing this, we're not losing this. I'm not too fearful of heading lower. I think you're trying to spread out those. Oh yeah, I need to put this stuff back up if you guys want to see it. We're still holding 5-day for the most part. Bollinger Bands are still trying to spread out, but are you losing the low yet? No, you break and make a new high. That says upside, and you're looking for, well, potentially even your weekly expected move. That would be great. But tech stocks are behaving very interesting, right? we saw that last Friday. Tech stocks in general acting very interesting, right, Edgar? Thank you so much for joining us today. So for this, I think that we're going to set like a 140 trap, a 145 trap. I'll look at levels for you, Edgar, since you subscribed. For Nvidia this week, you would really be paying attention to 144. Like really just staring at 144 to 140 to 144. If you can get there, whoo, you got some FOMOers that might step in right when you're stepping out. Yeah, if you break to the upside, I'd be looking at 144, 140 to 144. Ed kind of agrees, 140. Yeah, we like those FOMOers. They're the ones that are going to get us to a test of 6,000. And maybe, just maybe, if they short and they sell everything, those buybacks come in and you see a boom. I know this is a time where outside of the monthly expected move. And so we are leaning towards that pullback still as far as probabilities go. But you have to understand, crazy things happen outside of here. And if you don't see price action tell you the way down, and you're just looking at divergences and they never confirm a new low, you got to be watching out. They can have my used options. Exactly. That's what I like to do. I'm like, I think it's valuable now. They're like, no, it's not. And then they're like, oh, I think it's valuable now. And I go, no, it's not. Here you go. Hey, it's people decide to make those decisions. I decide to make different ones. I have some June. Oh, sorry, I didn't read the rest of this. I have some June 20th, 850 calls also on TEM. Let's go look at TEM too. Oops, almost exited out of the stream. That would have been bad. Because a lot of people have been talking about Tempest. Pretty much, you should have bought this when Nancy Pelosi did, right? But for Tempest, if you guys remember, this is great before earnings. All right, before earnings, what do we see? All right, we see what? Daily divergence. Do you see good things from the 2 hour before earnings as well? Let's see. Did we make pathway higher? Yes. Pathway higher. So I'd say this is pretty much just like this is bullish. That's like all that we're talking about and drawing up here is this is bullish. And then it goes up, 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 up. Right? We lose this low. That's a bad thing. But then we make the new high. Right? We make the new high. We see that burst of buyers and you continue to the upside. I'd say one more push in this. Really look here. If you beat the high, so you see how it breaks down? So if you see this exceed that level and then retest, that would be your go zone. And it says you're going to get one more push. That's what price action would tell you there. If you're doing this right now, it's worrisome. Low, new low, new low, right? You don't want that broken. You can come all the way down to here and it's still fine. But once you break this, that's where it gets a little risky, right? If you can set up that divergence point really quickly and turn back up and beat these levels, bam, that would be better. Oh, wait, I need to go to futures again. God dang it, I gotta pee again. I drank too much coffee. As far as right now, the futures were unable to break through that high just yet. So we are chilling. There is a gap all in here that can be resistance from sellers. Right in here, you see it from there to there. It's all gap. So we got to see if we make that high here. Price again, but 490 very likely. I think you're correct. If you see the rolls, it's just bad because you know, as far as the SPY goes, you just have such a low level that you could hold up at any point today. Are people really bullish? Pretty damn bullish, right? You're just seeing wham, oh, they're very, oh, now they're really bullish. Oh, now we're, interesting stuff though. We've got about, I'll go try to go a little bit over here for another 20 minutes or so. Then I might have to hop off until the afternoon. Oh yeah, let me look at this real quick. Yeah, there's just nothing nothing really worrisome yet. We'll have to find out. It just looks worrisome in the morning here to some. Doesn't really look that worrisome to me. What about you guys? You a little worried about it? I think Tony's aware of what to worry about. That's what it seems like from his statement. When prices pin at highs, FOMO people are like the market. Yeah, I don't think it's worrisome yet. And I think you're going to use, Tony, I think you're going to use those FOMO or orders to blast you to potentially even 596.21 or 598.60. And then if that's happening by end of day and we set up things, that can be a big problem. If we hold divergence one more time here, if we just see like an upside move that kind of like goes up and fades, like goes like this and then fades really quickly, I'm kind of worried about this market now. Not necessarily worried about this market for like a crash, for like some kind of corrective move to pull back, some kind of 2 hour, 3 push down, some kind of like, this would be great. Bam. Then you go, boom, you show that. Or maybe you even show something like this, something crazy. I don't know about that. Well, it is Vixpiration. You can see crazy things. I think it would build down. And then you see some kind of bounce. And then you go like this. That would be the way to really break down. But I'm still just staring at that 575. If we see like boom, 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 and it's done, wham to the upside. It's extremely bullish, man. It's just so freaking bullish. It's crazy. It seems like it needs to freaking breathe, though. Yeah, and Tony, what I'm talking about is like I want that to flip. I want that to flip from like retail's trying to hedge or trying to take shorts here to retail gives up on hedging, gives up on shorting, and says, fuck it, we're going long. And then right when they say, fuck it, we're going long, it just turns. And I don't think we saw yesterday some of those shorts come in, I think, from retail. So we'll be aware of it. But I would just like extreme bullishness at 6,000 for SPX would be amazing. I think that happened yesterday. Yeah, yesterday is what I was talking about. Today is like, oh, they're bullish in the morning. Let's sit them here, build those orders, then show them something good. Look at where those orders are at. Maybe they're reaching up towards 600 for SPY. So we'll stop it short at 598, show it like a pullback, right? Imagine this. Imagine this mentality, Tony. You're someone who buys a 600 call. You see this, and then you see this, and then you maybe come down a little bit more, and then it goes back up. Either you're going to get theta burned here, or you're going to think it's going to 600 here, and then it just turns. And then we actually see like a dump moment, and then they're trapped. That's kind of how psychologically I'm looking into it, but we'll not know exactly until hindsight, which is unfortunate. I feel like a market will dip, then they show up, grab down, retailer finally pull back, then goes back and they're up. Exactly. Okay, so you see what I'm saying, Tony? They're gonna wait for the moment where 600 looks like it's going to happen for SPY, but then they don't realize that SPX already going to hit 6,000 at that point, and the job will be done. And then at the end of the day, you could see that like bait, some kind of bait, or maybe tomorrow morning you see that as bait, and then it just rips away. But we'll see. We'll see how it shapes up. Right now, the futures market that when I'm looking at this, it's not making the new high yet, so we could have more turbulence. Yeah, I think the short from Friday to Monday, if you were looking for premium grab and using that hedge position, just being like, I just want to make some kind of money out of the play, that's good. But to hold on to that position long term before you see breakdowns, that's the troublesome spot. Especially even if you're holding on to it, even if you're holding on to this and you see it go up, once it crossed through what, right here, or I think it was right here, literally that monthly move, because you see that high. Once it crosses through there, you got to realize like, oh, this is pretty good. And then we see those wicks coming down. You got to be, that's why I put out that notification on Patreon, just being like, be careful shorting right now. Nice wick. It within the sellers. We will continue to watch this with you for the time being. We've got about 15 more minutes left before I got to take off. Let me chug some water. God, I'm drinking too many fluids this morning. Let's go look at other indices real quick. We kind of looked at the Qs, right? Qs, critical level, monthly expected move. Very, very simple, right? Very simple. You lose that today, you see a bounce, you're in a downtrend. You have the probabilities starting to lean towards, hey, we're going to start to see pullbacks. IWM, if we look at this for the time being, sideways, 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 showed you something awful, then made a new high, then made a higher low. If this can cross through that high, that would be a great thing. This is where people will do what? They will look where the buyers step in, right? Our little zones. Bam to bam. And they will look for that area. They will look anywhere in this box, but they usually gravitate towards the middle is what I notice. And right in the middle of that is where your buyers really stepped in. Fantastic test. Now you're heading to the upside. That means that day traders and things like that would try to grab here and then see if they get that upside and leave their stop right here. And as they see upside, what are they going to do? Well, a trader might move the stop up, move the stop up, move the stop up, and now they're chilling. Where's the next point that the day traders may make an attempt if we need to dig down a little bit lower again? Right here, where the buyers stepped in this morning. You would potentially do the other mark off as well. Right, like right here to here, right there. There's a lot that goes on with price action, guys. We're not going to be able to knock it all out in one video, so we're going to probably have to add a couple of price action videos. But this would be considered what if this rolls past this low, a potential lower high for your 30-minute. DIA, upside, 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 right? Nothing about DIA looks bearish for the time being. This is not the right weekly expected move, is it? We didn't update this at all, did we? DIA is 433.51. 433.51. You do have divergence up here, but that was wiped out recently, and you never made that divergence really again. Yep, slightly above. So this means that we could still dip down lower into what? Well, where'd the buyers step in? Right here. You can draw up that little zone like this. And you can see, okay, that's where we're going. And let's see if we get those buyers, those day traders, those FOMOers to step in. Or big money, and we absolutely just blow this thing out of the water. You could take your time with this like all day. Take your time with it like all freaking day, man. And then just see like one upside move. That would be interesting. Too many calls right now. There's too many. They want to build those calls, and even convince some people to short. I feel you, Jake. I feel you on that. I'm looking at 122, and 122 is what I really gravitate to still for Nvidia, Tony. SoFi, we do pay attention to SoFi on this channel. SoFi for the time being opened up the door to downside. Haven't seen that door reopened. Still haven't seen that door reopened, right? Still good. Now, you are losing this. What does that mean? Right? That means we have the chance to do something like this. We're literally at the line in the sand for SoFi. You go down lower, you retest where the sellers came in, right? Where are you going to retest if the selling's going to come in? Well, if you really consider both forms of blocks, it would be this entire thing right here. And you would say, okay, if we see this now, and then we reject, and we lose that low, you're going lower. You're at least going to potentially gap fill, if not breaking through that low. So SoFi's in a riskier spot. As of right now, though, it is holding the absolute line in the sand here. It is crazy. So if you want to get bullish again, you would want to see a big rip and roar, then come down to find those buyers again, then see upside, right? Take out this high. Let's draw it up, right? Boom, boom, boom. For now, first attempt failed. Second attempt is holding the line in the sand. So now we'll see if that can take out that high. That's what you'd like to see. Now, do I think SoFi goes past this wick? I do not. I do not think SoFi goes past that wick. I think SoFi goes like this. And then where did the sellers step in? Well, all of this right here is selling, right? So I think SoFi is going to go up towards that wick and then maybe set up the lower high. That's what I see in front of me right now. If we go beat that and there's no kind of roll, anything like that, if you just beat that, then you're looking at upside again, like maybe one more time, unless you find that divergence and that divergence tells you like, hey, it's risky. SoFi would be great. Like, if it would curl up there, it'd be good. But if it would actually dip down further, I would like it a lot. Hold on, let me go. I gotta use the right. Actually, I can wait 10 minutes or so. I know Wyckoff. I just don't utilize it too much. I mean, I think you could potentially even see like, you might even see a Wyckoff moment for like a 30-minute on Nvidia. Like at the end of the day, everything that everyone talks about, patterns and all these things, I mean, they're good things, but really when it comes down to a trade, I'm not necessarily paying attention to the pattern. I'm paying attention to the 5 reasons, and patterns aren't necessarily my 5. If anything, a pattern or something like that would be like a 6, 7, or 8. Used in a buckus. I just don't trust it. I don't trust people who use too much. It's like, because let's put it this way: if I'm creating content for you guys and I'm just creating technical analysis content, and I want to justify everything I say, then I'm going to have 30 indicators, and then I'm just going to use 5, and then I'm going to pull up another one if I'm wrong, and I'm going to say how I'm right because of that indicator and how you need it. And I'll teach you how to use it, right? And then if that one goes wrong, I'll use a different one. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's not the best to just use an indicator that describes what happened. I would rather utilize the things that I like to pay attention to. And right now we're really showing off price action, something we didn't talk about too much. We have talked about it by utilizing MACDs and things like that, really trying to get that understanding of MACDs and talking about like resistance and support. But now we're actually digging deeper into it, and I think we're prepared for it. He's using it as a joke to come up with a number. That's good. I mean, Trade Brigade, I don't think he's one of those. He has a system that he goes through like every day from what I've seen. I've tuned into that. Sometimes I just turn it on to hear ideas while I'm analyzing, or like see what people are saying in the chat, because he's got a pretty big chat, see if they're bullish or bearish. I like to consider other people's opinions. I don't think that's bad. I think he's fine to have on in the morning while I'm like looking at the open, being like, oh, how does he look at it? I don't utilize anything he says. I literally don't utilize like anything he says. But I'm not a day trader, so his analysis in the morning is very day trader friendly, I think. No, everyone's talking about the rising wedge. Everyone's talking about the rising wedge. Don't think that, yeah, you see it. Market makers see it. Everyone sees it. But if you just break a wedge, by the way, remember this? Remember, if you break a wedge, like let's say you have a wedge, right? And most of the time it does this. But what if that gets distributed the other way? New high, new high, new high, right? It gets distributed that way. So it's still price action. Now, most of the time it breaks to the downside, all right? But you can see breaks up. If that's a strategy, if that's something you utilize and that's worked for you a lot and that gives you your edge, do your thing, Right, reacting? You're reacting, right? Yeah, that's good. If most of the time it's going to play out to the downside and you have a plan for that and you've traded that before plenty of times and that's where you have your edge, Look for your signals and look for your things that you look for in price action to say, oh, we're likely to break this to the downside, and then you can make the play. Not just I see a wedge, so I take a play, but I see a wedge, I see the other things that I really need to see to say that wedge is going to break down, and then I take the play. Larger time frame. Well, most of the time is the market bullish or bearish. So do wedges play out? Why do I not use a lot of wedge measured moves? Why do I say that sometimes? I don't like measured moves too often. Well, because the market's going to do what the market wants to do, right? A measured move is fine, but if I see a measured move and I just say it has to get there, and I'm not paying attention to the other things, then I can run into problems. Hey, thank you for saying that, John. I appreciate you. Hope JP Morgan's going all right. It sounds like it gave you some hesitation there for a moment. Where the Q's sitting. The Q's might need to still dip into the... they dipped into here. That's not bad. Maybe we don't need to go here yet. That would shoot you negative, too. I don't really like going negative here. I'd like to remain positive the whole time. 517.46 would be your daily move. So maybe you get there first. 517.46, something like that. 516 would still be bullish for sure. It's just one, when you're not bullish is when you see this, 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 right? You see those sellers come in, then you have that whole bar. You see the break. Then it goes to retest where those sellers first started, like that general area, and then it breaks down again. So I don't know if you're in the boat to see that right now. We'll have to find out. Yeah, I'm drawing what you're saying because it makes sense. Like, it makes sense. But calling out that level makes sense too, especially if you're very price action oriented. A lot of price action people will be paying attention to these two bars. The whole thing. They'll pay attention to the whole damn thing. And they will take on risk in here, usually towards the middle, right? They will take risk and they will say, my stop is here. That's how day traders work. Like, I understand it, but at the same time, I've told you before, I'm like, I'm not the best at executing it. Like Oakland said, it could just be because I'm live, right? So the fun play, sometimes maybe I hold on to him too far, or I forget to put a stop or something like that. I got 4 more minutes here, John. I'll chill for just a little bit. Oh, you heading out? I'm going for a break as you go to work, real work for afternoon. As you go to work for some real work. Good. Make that safe money, right? The consolidation is more. This is the question, Pablo. Where is price right now? Is price right now bullish or bearish? Price right now is still bullish. That's all you care about. Price right now is still bullish. And now we see if we can do bullish things, right? See if we can get a little 3-point move to the upside, if not 5 points by the end of the day. Yeah, consolidation, it's more about where is that consolidation taking place. If you saw this, and then you consolidated, and then you grab those sellers and break down, that would be bearish, right? But if you see consolidation in the form of a flag like here, and eventually you get it to a new high, that's actually still bullish, right? If you see that kind of like, but you make a new high, yeah, you could dip down again deeper, but it's still bullish, right? The bearishness will happen here. The bullishness will happen all above that. Price is bullish. Yeah, good. Yeah, 60 to 70 is all you need. 60 to 70%, like win rate, that's all you need. If you're good at managing risk, then that should be all you need. You just need to win more than you lose. technically, with good risk management and good position sizing, risk management in the position size, you can have a 50-50 strategy and still win as long as you're cutting those losers and holding on to your winners and maybe taking profit and leaving runners, right? But 60-70 is the real profitable people, in my opinion. Like that's your really like they are good. Like they really are good. Anything above 60 to 70%, anything above 70%, I would say you are either the most patient person in the world, you are the most risk assessed person in the world, or you're an insider, right? You're Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi wins 99% of the time, right? So, yeah, that's when that starts to happen. All right, guys, we're reaching that time limit right now. I do have to hop off. I will be back later on today. As of right now, I haven't seen the bearish things. We'll go over the bearish things again. If it comes down into here, it's not bearish. If it comes down into here, it's not bearish. If it breaks that low, it becomes bearish. And then you most likely will see a reaction up to grab where those sellers started, those strong sellers, and then you will repeat that process to the downside, and there will be your lower high that you will need to take out, right? So for the time being, things are not doing that. So I should be inclined to pay attention to any kind of thing that tells me that price should head to the upside unless we are losing that low. Even if you come all the way down into here and then you see like, 5-minute wise, right now you kind of have a high in there. That's nice. See if you take that out. But right now you have boom, boom, boom. If you're going to go like this, then you look for that reaction up. Do, keep going to the upside. And maybe that sets the trap for 596. I think we have the ability to not do any of that. I think you want a 3 push for this to be corrective to get to something like 598. I think on the 5-minute, you want something like this to just start that upside, right? I think you want a boom. Then you want that to drop back in. Then you want another boom. And then you want that to start to sell off into the end of the day. I think it might not be in that exact way. We'll see how it forms, but it looks pretty good to me. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, donating so that I'd look at some stocks. I know we've been focused on certain things, so grabbing my attention is perfectly fine. Try not to donate first. See if I see it a couple times. I don't want to take your hard-earned money. So, you guys liking and watching these videos is plenty for my time for today. And yeah, just if you need to get my attention, that's what you do. But try to mention it in chat a few times. If I can get to it, I'll try to get to it. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching today. If you have questions about other stocks, you can ask in a little bit towards the end of day, right? But I hope you guys have a lot of luck today. I hope you have a lot of conviction in your trades, and I hope you're paying attention to how you can be wrong so that you can have a plan for if it goes right, but also a plan for if it goes wrong, because on this channel, we do what? We trade like water, and we're aware of those rocks down the stream, and we can use price action to help us out during this time as we're outside of the monthly expected move. Thank you guys. Have a fantastic day. Peace out. Well, I'm a mama. Appreciate you. Have a good one.